He paused his breathing and went still. Sure, he had heard something. He counted heartbeats, squeezing his eyes shut a little tighter as the hairs on his arms stood up. It sounded like footsteps coming down the hallway. Jonathan felt his face flush and his scalp tingle. Open your eyes, Jonathan. Open them. There's nothing there. He shook his head, his heart plummeting to his stomach. Sweat broke out on his forehead as shivers shot through him. Open your eyes now, the annoying voice screamed, and he did with a sharp inhale, expecting to see that same blonde-haired kid staring at him from the other side of his desk. Alas, there was nothing there. The adrenaline that triggered the fight-or-flight response still hummed under his skin and caused his hands to tremble as he held onto the top of the desk, the sweat under his hands slick against the surface. Jonathan chuckled and relaxed behind the desk again, letting the anxiety flow out of him. Tick, 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 tick. The sound of the keyboard caused him to open his eyes in disbelief. Jonathan quickly scooted his chair away from the desk. The fuck? He asked the empty room. He stared at the keyboard as the letters pressed themselves down faster and faster. He shot his attention upward at the screen. Help. Please. Alone with him. Stuck. Lost. Help me. Help him. Help me. Jonathan stood slowly as the words, help me, flowed repeatedly down the monitor and across page after page. Panic set in. Please stop, he whispered. The keys stopped clicking, and the words ceased scrolling down the screen. Jonathan swallowed thickly and tried scooting farther away but bumped into his filing cabinet. He braced his hand on the side of it and eyed the distance to the doorway. God, I'm losing my mind, he said, closing his eyes and trying to slow his breathing. The clicking noise started again. He opened his eyes in a flash. No. Stop, he cried out. What did that mean? That he was losing his mind? Jonathan dared to take a step closer. The command prompt flashed at him impatiently as he neared the desk. It was chilly here, chillier than the rest of the room, and he shivered. He asked, Who are you? The command prompt kept flashing at him, as if it didn't understand the question. Was it over? Had the spirit exhausted itself? Was he alone again? Jonathan didn't know. He called out to the empty room once more. Do you have a name? Alan. Help me, please. Help me. Wait. Oh no. What? Oh no what? Jonathan cried out, staring at the screen, his hands level with the monitor. He's home. The front door slammed, causing Jonathan to start. He walked around the edge of the desk and out on the landing. The curtains of the door were swaying back and forth from the force of the door, but no one was there. Eddie? Babe? Jonathan called out. No one replied. He stood there for a second before he began to descend the stairs. Go outside and wait for Eddie, the annoying voice pleaded with him. Why? So he can say I'm losing it and lock me up? He asked aloud. He smirked as the voice failed to respond. As he made his way toward the kitchen, he heard a cabinet open. He stopped and listened for a second before plunging into the room, swinging the door wide with a bang as it hit the wall. Sure enough, the same cabinet door stood gaping, although the rest of the room remained undisturbed. Angrily, he crossed the kitchen and slammed the cabinet door hard enough to sound like a shot and popped back open. The blood pumped in his temples as he spun around and bellowed. I don't give a fuck what happened to either of you, why you're here, why you died, why you're still in this house. But let me make something very clear. This is my house, and you're an unwelcome... Jonathan didn't have a chance to finish his sentence before all the cabinet doors popped open at the same time, and their contents spilled out onto the floor. Plates and glasses hit and shattered against the linoleum floor, sending shards of glass airborne. Jonathan yelped and covered his face in time to feel bits of glass cutting into the backs of his hands. Pots and pans shook and spilled out, clattering and banging as they went. The pantry and refrigerator door burst forth and their contents shifted forward, pouring out onto the floor. Bottles of beer exploded and foamed, and brown liquid sprayed the room. Jonathan lowered his hand shakily to his side when he felt a presence right in front of him. He smelled it before he sensed it. The stench of liquor being breathed into his face was enough to make him gag. It was accompanied by a foul aroma much like rotted meat, and Jonathan's eyes watered. He tried to turn his head to the side, but his jaw was grasped by an unseen force, fingers like ice on his skin. Mine, came a disembodied voice. Suddenly, Jonathan was lifted off his feet into the air. Icy fingers closed around his throat, and he thrashed to break loose of the grip. He couldn't breathe. As hard as he tried, he couldn't make contact with anything, including his invisible assailant. Black spots began to swim in his vision as he drifted toward unconsciousness. You're going to die, the annoying voice said, and Jonathan knew it spoke the truth.